Happy Friday, fellow wine lovers. It's certified sommelier and author of The Glamorous Gourmet, Stephanie Miskew, coming to you live on this fabulous Friday, August 4th, with my latest wines of the week to share with you. I'm thrilled to be back with you. I was so sorry to miss last week. We were traveling. Had to go up and cover an event up in the Hamptons called Chefs in Champagne. It's a super fun event to benefit the James Beard Foundation, so we had a lot of fun. But I'm thrilled to be back, and I'd like to thank you so much for joining me today. I greatly appreciate it. Today, I'm going to be featuring California gems, or some of my favorite wines from California. So if you're a California wine lover, you might find it interesting. But and again, every Friday at 3 p.m. I'll be here sharing some of my favorite wine picks. So if you want to mark your calendar, and I think somewhere on your display there you should be able to click a link that will notify you whenever I go live. So if you want to go ahead and do that, that would be great. So again, we're going to be focusing on California gems. These wines are wines that they're a little off the beaten path, but I think you'll find them really interesting. They're not your typical run-of-the-mill wines, and your everyday wines are fine. Like last week, I featured everyday wines from Argentina, which are all fine and great. But this year, today, I wanted to do something a little different. So I hope you enjoy them. And again, if you're with me and if you can see me, oh good, I see some emojis going by. Throw up a little heart emoji or a little thumbs up or whatever floats your boat. I love those. The little hearts are very cute too. So, and if you can hear me, please in the comment section below, just let me know where you're watching from and if there's anything in your glass. I know it's a little early, but if there is, feel free to just comment below. So while you are getting yourselves all comfortable, let me see if I can pull this up on my screen. There's a little bit of a delay. Oh, there we go. Yay, and get this all going. Awesome. Great. Good, I see we have a couple people joining. So again, tell me in the comment section where you are, where you're watching from when you get a chance. So a little bit about the format today, if you're just joining us for the first time. I like to keep these to about, 20, 30 minutes. And I will introduce and talk about 4 wines, and I'll taste through them and tell you a little bit about them. Feel free at any point to ask questions or make comments. I can see what you're commenting, so I can answer them in real time for you. Or again, it's when it comes to food and wine, it's just so fun when it's interactive, right? Ooh, Danville, California. Awesome, Oscar. Great to see you. Thanks for joining. Oh, Donna. Donna's watching from Sacramento, California. Right now my glass has water, but soon probably something better. And that's fine. With the time change, you get extra pass for not having something in your glass now. But thanks for joining us. I'm so thrilled to have you guys. Again, so 20 to 30 minutes, I'll taste through the wines, talk about them. Feel free to ask questions. And if you happen to be watching this after the live broadcast, you couldn't join us live, please feel free to go ahead and ask questions. I monitor all the questions that are asked for, weeks after the actual video runs. So please comment along and join in just as if you were watching it live. So again, I'm happy to get back to you with any questions or anything like that. Let's see. Awesome. Thrilled to have you join us. I so appreciate it. This is only my fifth Facebook Live so far. And I love being here with you every Friday. It's just a fun way. It's a fun way for me to start the weekend. I hope you guys enjoy it too. Kind of gets your mind in the right place. Thinking about something great to drink over the weekend. Alrighty. Okay, let's see. So like I said, today I'm sharing some of my favorite wines with you. All of the winemakers featured today, they're really some of the hottest winemakers right now, and they really take a interest in farming, and they really believe that wines are made in the vineyard first. So they're great winemakers. Again, if you recognize the names of any of them, please jump in and tell me. These are all wineries we visited, and I have to say, if you're someone who does like wine and you haven't had the chance to visit any of your favorite winemakers yet or wineries, maybe make that a plan for the fall, because there's nothing like standing in the vineyard that the grapes were grown in, talking to the winemaker or someone from the winery, and feeling the passion that they have for the wines that they make and enjoying a glass of wine with them. I guarantee you, no matter how much you like the wine going there, you'll never enjoy that wine the same way again. In fact, I think you'll be even more passionate about it. So visiting these fun wine regions is just something really, really special. And if anyone there, I know a couple of you have visited wineries, but if you have had a great experience with a particular region or winery in the past, why don't you let me know about it in the comments section. Always looking for fun wineries, fun regions, and all of that. But again, the wines I'm going to be sharing today are some of mine. And again, they're a little pricey, and the best way to find any of them is probably to go directly to the winery website. Because they are pretty limited production, but it's just kind of a little window into, it's not all Cabernet Sauvignon and Chardonnay going on out in Napa and Sonoma. There's a lot of really, fun passion projects that are going on too. So just something to keep in mind. Yeah, Steve's coming, my husband's coming home a little early today. I just really wanted an excuse to open up all these awesome bottles at once. So thanks for joining me on this fun day. All right, let's see. All right, and just before we get started, again, I'm Stephanie Miskew, certified sommelier and author of The Glamorous Gourmet. If you can hear me now, make sure, send up a little emoji across so I know you're still with me. I just want to make sure I've got you before we dive into the tasting. Oh, let's see, awesome. Oh, Karen's in Deerfield Beach. Hey, lady, great to see you. Oh, Beringer, yes, we talked about that last week. I agree with you, Oscar. Beringer is a beautiful estate with very friendly and accommodating staff, and the history there is just beyond. It's definitely on my list of top 10 wineries. If you haven't been to Napa before, super, super special. So it's really a great experience. Alrighty, let's see. So again, we're going to be talking about California gems, and I changed the order up a little bit. Whenever I'm tasting wine, I don't know about you, but I always like to go in order of lightest to heaviest wines. That way, you're not tasting a wine that's going to kind of blow the next one out of the water. When I originally planned the tasting, I had the white switched, but I have switched it back, because the worst thing is that you could taste a really lovely wine with a lot of complexity, but because of the wine you had before was a little big and bold, you kind of miss it. So we are going to start with Fela. We have the Fela Chardonnay from the Chewy Vineyard, and that's in Sonoma Valley in California. And again, I'm gonna flip the screen like I have learned to do so you can read the label. Let's see, everything's backwards. And again, Fela is the name of the winery. It's their Chardonnay 2014 from Sonoma Valley. And you can see this little writing Chewy right there. That means that it is from that particular vineyard. They have very pretty labels, but in any event. So whenever you see the name of a specific vineyard on a wine, on the name of a wine, you know that wine's probably going to be a little pricey, because depending on the reputation of the vineyard, which is probably pretty good if they have it on the label, that means that those grapes are very special, and they have a reputation for producing really amazing wine. So Fela, the winery, it was founded by Aaron Jordan and his wife Anne Marie. They're known for producing really gorgeous examples of Chardonnay and Pinot Noir from very cool climates. And when I say cool climates, what does that mean when you hear that? That means essentially that the wines produced are going to be on the leaner, more balanced side. They're more food-friendly wines, generally speaking. But so they have a really amazing reputation for producing these great wines. But the interesting thing about Aaron Jordan, he's the winemaker, is that he started his career making Zinfandels, which is essentially the opposite of Pinot Noir. He started out making really dramatic Zinfandels for Helen Turley and did an amazing job at it. That's kind of how he got his start in making wine. But as he's kind of evolved in his career, now he dedicates his time mainly to making just fantastic Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. He's really been able to source grapes from some really well-respected vineyards because of his reputation for making beautiful wines. I have a Chardonnay I'm featuring today, but if you have the opportunity to sample any of their Pinot Noirs, I would absolutely seize that opportunity because they're just fantastic wines. But when we were out there in November, this Chardonnay just stood out to me in the lineup as being so just beautifully layered, beautifully complex, and from a very special place. So the Chewy Vineyard was actually planted by a man by the name of, Jesus Chewy Ordaz. He planted the vineyard in 1964. That's how old these grapes are and how old the vineyard is. It has an amazing reputation. Chewy grew up in Mexico. He was one of 11 children and made 32 unsuccessful attempts to come to the U.S. And then finally he succeeded on the 33rd. And he just has developed an amazing reputation as a vineyard manager. And Aaron Jordan, the winemaker, has been working with him since his days at Turley. So when he had the opportunity to work with him on this wine, he jumped at the chance because, again, it's such a special wine. And I mean, the grapes are amazing. The vineyard itself is at about 1,000 feet elevation. Oh, let's see. So Donna says, so much great wine in Napa and Sonoma. Our faves, Cayman Minor, Frank Family, Cosentino, but also, oh, great. I love all your suggestions. Yeah, great reds, like Fleur de Lis and Cantiga. Yep, fabulous. Good, I love when y'all chime in. But anyway, so the vineyard's at 1,000 feet in elevation. Again, very cool climate. Produces it's one of the oldest plantings in the U.S. actually, is this vineyard. So let's go ahead and taste through it, why don't we? Because all this talk is making me thirsty. And for those of you joining us for the first time, I like to use the 6 S's of tasting. I've actually added an S, so for those of you who have heard me talk before. So let's go through. The first S is C. And there is so much you can tell about a wine from just looking at it. And I've noticed if I hold the glass a little higher, you can see the color. So you can see the wine's a beautiful pale lemon color, translucent. There's nothing floating in it. It looks young and vibrant and pretty much like a Chardonnay should look. If that wine was brown, or you might tell that it had been oxidized or it was very old. As white wines age, they take on a brownish hue. But this looks young and vibrant and beautiful, just how you would expect a 2014 Chardonnay to look. So the next S is, I like to pair swirl and sniff together, because you swirl the wine to really get a sense of, it aerates the wine and essentially turns up the volume on the aromas. So you really get a sense of what the wine is like when you roll into the sniff, which I'm going to do right now. And gosh, on the nose, beautiful aromas of citrus and minerals and beautiful ripe pear, and a little bit of spice too, but just everything you would expect. A little more complexity than maybe you would get with some Chardonnays, but I'm going to go ahead and roll right into the sip. And while I like to pair swirl and sniff, I also like to pair sip and swish. Swish the wine around in your mouth so it really hits all your taste buds. It'll really give you a good sense of what the wine is about. So as soon as this wine hits my mouth, it's beautiful. But the acidity in the wine just lights up my taste buds, and my mouth is already watering. But again, I'm getting beautiful flavors of citrus and green apple, a little bit of almond and pear. And again, the finish, and this is a good sign of a quality wine, is that the finish goes on and on and on. So for, 5 or 6 seconds after you swallow the wine, gosh, you can still taste it, and it's beautiful. Also, when you're tasting a Chardonnay, especially a really high quality Chardonnay, take it out of the fridge about 20 minutes, half an hour before you're gonna serve it. As these wines warm up, you really get the nuances and complexity of the aromas and the flavors in the wine. So especially with Chardonnay, don't serve it as cold as you would maybe a Pinot Grigio or a Sauv Blanc. Warm it up a little bit before you serve it, and you really get kind of the maximum effect. And that, again, is just beautiful. I can still taste it, but again, just layers and layers of complexity. Has a long finish. Again, you could age this one. Chardonnay is probably the most ageable of white grapes. Again, this is a 2014. You could hang on to this for, gosh, quite a few years, and you'd still have an amazing wine on your hands. Again, it's 100% Chardonnay. It's lightly oaked, just a kiss of oak, primarily aged in neutral French oak, but you do get a little bit of the vanilla and the spice. And then the wine is bottled unfined and unfiltered. And has anyone heard that term before? If you have, leave me a comment. Essentially, unfined and unfiltered, winemakers skip that process because they feel like it strips away some of the nuance of the wine. It doesn't necessarily mean a wine is better or worse, but when you see that, it's usually the sign of a more artisanal product and that they didn't want to, oh good, thumbs up. Yes, so that's essentially what that means. In fact, in wines that are unfiltered and unfined, you might notice a little cloudiness. I don't really notice that in this one so much, but that's just what that, you might see that on some nicer bottles of wine that you encounter. So anyway, let's see, any comments? I gotta check periodically. Excellent. And for those of you who are Chardonnay fans out there, I would love to know, do you like your Chardonnays maybe with a little oak on them or no? Or do you prefer more unoaked versions of Chardonnay? Oh, let's see, I have a question. Yay. And Oscar asks, when you visit vineyards, do you let them know who you are? I'm sure you would get special treatment if you do, but wonder if you go incognito. Perhaps you are easily recognized in the community already and have to wear a wig, sunglasses, and a hat to blend in with the other folks. Yes, Oscar, I'm just, you know, recognized everywhere I go. No, and actually that's a great question. And I do tell them that I would organize what I call, and they call, a trade tasting. So it's just essentially a little more in-depth than a consumer tasting. You usually might sit down with the winemaker themselves or someone involved in the actual making of the wine, or, you know, depending on who they want to set you up with that day. But yeah, I would usually, they just go a little more in depth about the science behind the wines and vineyard practices, you know, things that might be of interest to me, they might not interest a normal consumer. So that is a good question, but yeah, I generally do. And I'm usually interviewing them for my website or for Fox News. So yeah, I let them know in advance, just so I'm sure to, you know, meet with the right people I need to speak with and that kind of thing. So yeah, I do. Oh, Donna likes unoaked shards. Awesome. I definitely prefer them for summer. They're wonderful. And then Tom says crisp versus buttery. Yeah, you would essentially choose crisp or buttery. Crisp is essentially your unoaked shard, and then buttery and more luscious is your oaked shard. So I liked unoaked shards in the summer more, and then, you know, your little more oaky shards in the winter months. It pairs better with, you know, heavier food that you might eat at that time of year anyway. So great comments, guys. Thanks. So let me take another sip real quick before we move on to our next gem. So again, our first gem was the Fela Chardonnay from Chewy Vineyard from the Sonoma Valley, from a vineyard named after a very special man that makes a very, very special wine. So definitely seek that one out if you get the chance, if you're so inspired. Just to make sure I didn't leave anything out. Okay, so our next wine is another white. And let me pour myself a little before I show you the label. And this one is very exciting. Let me go ahead and flip it. It's a beautiful label. It's from Mathiason, and you'll notice at the bottom, it's the 2013 Napa Valley Rebola Jolla from Mathiason, and I love their label with the secateurs. It's like a little work of art in and of itself. So you might look at that label and think, gee, I don't recognize anything on that label, or is there a grape on there? And essentially the grape is called Rebola Jolla. It's an Italian grape variety. Has anyone ever heard of Rebola Jolla before? If you have, just let me know either way, yes or no. This is a safe space. There's no wrong answers, and I guarantee no one's ever gonna make fun of anything you say. So again, it's not a common grape for sure, but it is from the Friuli region of Italy and the northeastern part of the country. And it is known for producing wines that have a very vivid color. It's a lot darker in color than our previous wine. Let me show you while I'm telling you. I mean, what a big difference from our Chardonnay, huh? So again, very deep in color. However, it's an amazingly food-friendly wine because it has beautiful notes of citrus and spice, and it's got a beautiful nutty quality to it as well, but it also has a beautiful acidity. And acidity, when you're talking about pairing food and wine, the pairing with the wine, you really need a nice acidity for it to pair well with a food. If you take a sip of wine and it makes your mouth water, that's acidity, and that essentially means it kind of gets your mouth ready for that bite of food. Let me see. Golden, yes, it is. Very golden color, Donna said. And nope, learned something. Yeah, and again, it's not something it's not a grape variety you're gonna come across every day in California, that's for sure. One thing we did encounter at virtually every winery we visited were these kind of obscure Italian grape varieties being grown in California. And I know that people have been experimenting with them for a long, long time, but I'd say this visit more than any other one, we really encountered it a lot. In fact, our next wine, we're going to encounter another Italian grape variety. But the good thing about Rebola Jolla is it can be made oaked or unoaked. Obviously, if it's unoaked, it's going to be a little lighter in body and flavor. And if it's oaked, it's going to be a little heavier. This one has a little bit of neutral oak. But more importantly, the wine maker is a man by the name of Steve Mathiason. Has anyone ever heard of him? If you have, let me know. He's really becoming very, very famous lately. He was voted Winemaker of the Year in 2014 by the San Francisco Chronicle. He's a James Beard Award nominee, which is essentially the Oscars of the food and wine world. And he was also in the movie Somm, Into the Bottle. Those Somm movies are great for any of you wine fans out there. They're great. There was the first one, Somm, and then they came out with the second one called Somm Into the Bottle, and it really focuses on some really cool people as well. But Steve Mathiason is kind of a guy to know. Not only does he make his own wine, and he makes everything from Chardonnay, he makes Chardonnay and Cabernet Sauvignon as well, but he also experiments with these really interesting Italian grapes, from Tokai Friulano to Rebola Jolla to Barbera. And so he's got a lot going on. And again, very dedicated to farming and producing wines that are of place. And if you've ever heard that term before, actually the French term for it is terroir. And all terroir essentially is that the wine represents where it's from. It's how the earth, the grape variety, soil type, climate, and winemaker's influence come together to produce a wine that can't be from anywhere else. So that's all that means. And yeah, definitely keep an eye out for Steve Mathiason's wines. He's a really interesting guy. He and his wife Jill, they're partners in this amazing project, and they ended up being able to buy acreage right downtown, right in the heart of Napa. You actually have to do a little off-roading to get there, but their Mathiason vineyard is actually right next to their house. And you go and you sit right outside on a beautiful table right next to their house, and the vineyard's right in front of you. So it's a really cool experience. And again, next time you're making travel plans, go visit your favorite winery or explore a new wine region. Okay, so again, Rebola Jolla, let's go ahead and taste through it, why don't we? Oh, let's see, Donna says, before we jump in, Italian varietals are becoming very popular in California. Yep, you got it. And Oscar says, yeah, all right. So it looks like I'm all caught up. Let's see. Okay, thanks for bearing with me. It's a real technological learning curve with doing these, but they're so fun. All right, so again, we looked at the color. We noticed big difference from the last one. It's a golden, much darker in color than our Chardonnay. And let's go ahead and swirl and sniff. Again, this one is a lot more fragrant than our Chardonnay. It kind of leaps out of the glass a little bit with aromas of, gosh, hazelnut, honey. It's got a little floral component going on as well, which I'm a sucker for. I love a wine, whether white or red, that have a floral component to it. But again, looks like we would expect it to, so let's go ahead and sip and swish. And while I would usually spit because it's Friday, I'm swallowing, folks, so I'm gonna swallow the wine. All right, anyway, on the palate, yeah, again, it just takes over your palate. It's got beautiful notes, again, of kind of baked apple, honeyed citrus, and again, hazelnut, but it does have that beautiful bright acidity that kind of lights up your mouth too. This wine, immediately I would want to pair it with like roasted pork loin or even a roasted chicken. It would be, God, that would be delicious with that. So again, just a little gem, and I don't think I mentioned the price. This wine, $45 a bottle, and alcohol 12.2%. So that's pretty low. And I don't know if I mentioned our Chardonnay previous was 13.7%. And again, just a beautiful, balanced, enjoyable, delightful wine. And in fact, most of the winemakers I'm going to be talking about today, that is their goal. They're kind of steering away from the habit of California wines being big and luscious and, you know, overwhelming fruit, into making wines that are more balanced and food friendly, that, you know, are a little more restrained, but in the long run, they're more balanced. So I think this wine demonstrates that beautifully. Beautifully. All right, folks. And here's a question for you. If you could get on a plane right now and visit any wine region in the world, where would you want to go? Where would be your first pick, do you think? It could be California, it could be somewhere else. So if you let me know in the comment section below, I'd love to hear what you have to say. Just a little something to think about. So, all right, one more sip. Okie dokie. So now, for those of you who might just be joining us for the first time, I'm talking about California Gems, some of my favorite California wines I've discovered recently. We started with the Fela Chardonnay from the Chewy Vineyard, a beautiful single vineyard Chardonnay that's just complex and gorgeous. Then I tasted the Mathiason Rebola Jolla from the Napa Valley, 2013 vintage, beautiful wine, unique. Again, these are all unique wines that are a little off the beaten path, but you know, something a little different, something to explore. So our next wine is a rosé, or should I say rosato. It is the Round Pond Rosato di Nebbiolo from Rutherford, California. So our last wine was made from a relatively obscure Italian grape variety, and this one is too. So let me go ahead and show you the beautiful label. And there you go. And actually, you see the palm trees there on the label? It's backwards, so I never know which way to go. That's actually the drive up to the winery. So it's just very beautiful. If you're visiting this region of California, please put it on your list. It's their 2016 Rosato di Nebbiolo. You can see it at the bottom, from Rutherford in the Napa Valley. And let's see, flip back. Did I flip it? Let's see. No, gotta flip it again. There we go. Okay. So again, one of my favorite wineries, just a beautiful place to visit. I wasn't even going to feature this wine, but they've started making more of it. Right out the gate, when they started making it, it got a very unexpected 90-point rating from Wine Spectator, and no one knew how they even got the wine, but they created a big demand for it. They only grew a couple rows of Nebbiolo. Nebbiolo is the grape, which originated from Italy's Piedmont region. So it produces Barolos and Barbarescos, very, very important grape in the Italian wine region, but they've really taken it and made a delightful little summer wine. So, oh, Round Pond. So Karen, you've heard of Round Pond? Awesome. Oh, and Donna loves Rosato. I love you gals. That's awesome. Yeah, and now you can actually find it on their website for a brief period of time. They never even released it on their website before, but now they do release a little bit of it. So if you are a rosé fan, you know, hop on the website and check it out. It's $32 a bottle, and the alcohol is 14.1%, which is pretty reasonable. And again, when I'm talking about rosé and rosato wines, these are done in a dry style. They're not sweet at all. We talked about that, I think, 2 tastings ago. And we like to go with I like to go with a Provençal style rosé, which is usually dry. So this wine and pretty much any rosé I'll feature are usually done in that dry style. Round Pond has a really cool history. The McDonald family founded it in the 1980s, and they were farmers first and foremost. And then they started in 2007, they decided to start making their own wines, and they've really just taken off because they grow amazing grapes and make amazing wines. But they also sell off still about 80% of their grapes to well-known wineries such as Franciscan and Duckhorn and Schramsberg. So they're farmers first, but they do make some really beautiful wines that are worth checking out for sure. Tuscan region in Italy, good one. Donna, that's where you'd want to go. That is where I fell in love with wine and knew I wanted to make it my career. So I adore Tuscany. That's a great place. Bordeaux, France, fabulous, beautiful place. And so much great seafood. It's right there on the ocean. That was one thing that kind of boggled my mind. You think, these big red wines and you think like roasted lamb, but the beautiful white Bordeaux paired with oysters from that region is just mind-blowing. And Tom would go to Italy. Love it. Good choices, everyone. I like the way you think. Awesome. So, all right, let's go ahead and taste through this wine. And Round Pond, gosh, I wanted to feature this one because it was a little different. I think I actually featured their Sauvignon Blanc in my first Facebook Live. It's beautiful. All of their wines are great. They also make an excellent Kith and Kin Cabernet, as well as some more pricey collectible Cabernet Sauvignons as well. So definitely check them out. All right, so let's go ahead and look at, do our C section of the tasting. Again, it's like a coppery, beautiful coppery salmon color. God, I love the color of rosé. It's just beautiful. Looks just like a rosé should. And that's the cool thing about rosé. They really range in color. The ones from Provence tend to be really light and bright. But then when you get to California, they get a little more oomph and color to them, which essentially means they're going to have a little more personality, a little more fruit, maybe a little more tannin. And they get the color by just allowing the juice to remain in contact with the grapes for just a couple hours to get that beautiful, gorgeous color. So again, all right, so let's go ahead and swirl and sniff. Oh, and the first thing you get is just beautiful strawberries. Fresh, ripe, gorgeous strawberries, a little bit of spice, and a little hint of citrus as well. And let's go on to sip and swish. Ah, just beautiful. Again, on the palate, beautiful, just red berries, raspberry, strawberry, a little bit of blood orange too, which is so nice. Really lovely. And again, a little bit of that spice that just gives that little bit of complexity to it. But Rosato and Rosé of all kinds are just beautiful food wines. Have any of you this summer enjoyed rosé paired with any food in particular? I mean, it pairs with anything from gosh, I love it with a salad niçoise with some nice seared tuna. It's beautiful. But you could pair this with a filet, for gosh sake. So if there's anything that you like paired with it in particular, let me know. Oh, Burgundy as well, Tom. Most beautiful wine region I've ever, well, one of the most beautiful wine regions I've ever visited is Burgundy. In Beaune is like a little storybook village. It's so beautiful. But great choices, guys. So that is our gorgeous Round Pond Rosato di Nebbiolo. And again, Nebbiolo is the grape. And they just grow a couple rows of it, but I think they're adding some more. Maybe after hearing me ask for it all the time. But anyway, I'm glad that they're making more of it because it really is a beautiful wine. So let's see. Oh, and someone asked last week as to whether you can hang on to or age rosé wines or even Rosato wines. My advice is drink them now. Rosés, generally speaking, don't really tend to improve with age. They kind of lose the beautiful fruitiness that we love about them. So you don't want to hang on to any of this year's rosé for next summer. You know, have a party, you know, at the end of the month. And where did the summer go, for God's sakes? Have a little rosé party at the end of the month and drink it all, because it just doesn't necessarily improve with age. So in any event, yeah, drink it all while you can. That's awesome. You know what? I need one more sip of that. Delicious. Okay, so we've done our Fela Chardonnay from the Chewy Vineyard, and we've done our Mathiason Rebola Jolla from the Napa Valley. And we also just finished our Round Pond, our 2016 Round Pond Rosato di Nebbiolo from Rutherford in the Napa Valley. And we're going to wind things up. Let's see, but before I jump in, are any questions about any of the wines so far? Please, by all means, jump in. I'd love, happy to answer any questions you have about anything so far, or traveling to any of these regions or anything like that. But I'll go ahead and pour my next wine while I'm waiting for you. All right. All right, well, if you think of anything, again, just jump in and ask away. But I thought we would wrap up our tasting. Gosh, that went fast. Well, the wines are so good, I just couldn't wait to get to each one of them. Oh, and you know what I forgot to mention? It's funny because our Round Pond Rosato, the winemakers for Round Pond have historically been a man by the name of Murish Griffin, and Thomas, he's the main winemaker, and then Thomas Rivers Brown, who's very well known in the area, has been consulting with them. But literally 5 minutes before I was starting this show, I noticed an email pop up that Round Pond just hired a new winemaker, and I haven't even had a chance to, and it's a woman, which, hey, even better. Looks like her name is Jamie JJ Dowell, just joined the Round Pond team. So I'll have more information on her in the future, but congratulations, Round Pond. That's always good to hear. That's good to hear. So, alrighty, guys. Oops. All right, let me find the right page. All right, so the next wine we're talking about is, let's see. It is the Mount Brave, Mount Veeder Cabernet Sauvignon. It's a 2013 vintage. I wish you could feel the bottle. It's a heavy one, as we know that those Napa cabs can be in sometimes, so it is a heavy one, but it's beautiful. I love the label. It's just very elegant. Yeah, and again, 2013 vintage. Let's see. Okay. Oh, did someone say something? No, okay. So it is the Mount Brave Cabernet Sauvignon from Mount Veeder, Napa Valley, of course, 2013 vintage. This bottle retails for $80 a bottle. It's a little pricey, but there's a reason for that. And the alcohol is 14.5%, which is not so crazy. But this is from one of my favorite winemakers. Again, I had the chance to meet with him when I was out. We were out in November. His name is Chris Carpenter. And the winery is owned by Jackson Family Wines. And this is something I just like to pass along to you. I'm the sommelier for Swank Farms, a lot of their events. And I had the chance last season to meet a representative from Jackson Family Wines. And initially you think Kendall Jackson. You kind of think that right off the bat. When in fact, Jackson Family Wines owns wineries all over the world. They own wineries in Italy, in France, in South America, in California. And they really produce some pretty amazing wines. And those wines made by Chris Carpenter are definitely some of them. They're stunning, and we thoroughly enjoyed our meeting with him. But he's responsible for making the wine for La Jolla, Cardinal, Mount Brave, and La Jota in California. And these are really some world-class Cabernet Sauvignons. Who likes, do any of you like, no, and Oscar asks, is it a Magnum? No, it's not a Magnum. It's just their regular bottle. But it's a heavy one even so. But are any of you Cabernet Sauvignon fans? I had to throw that one in at the end, but I love Chris Carpenter's style. He's one of these people that's just equally right brain and left brain. Just to hear him talk about wine and his love of wine and how he got into wine. He had a love of both science and hospitality, which generally doesn't happen that often, but the way he combines the two to just produce wines that are, technically beautiful, but he talks about wines in terms of orchestrating a symphony and marrying different lots together and thinking of how they will all blend together, which is really, really special. let's see, he's been with them, gosh, for about 20 years. And again, his dedication, his first goal, first and foremost, is to make wines of place. So wines that reflect where he's from. And his specialty, yeah, cabs, Oscar says. Tom, oh, awesome. Now we're talking. Tom says Height Cellars, that's a fabulous one. Very historic, very awesome. And Oscar says, yeah, cabs, love it. Yeah, well, they're hard not to like, right? They're pretty awesome. And Chris Carpenter specializes in making these beautiful wines from mountain fruit. So this is basically wines that are grown in vineyards kind of on the sides of these mountains, which is difficult to do. The soil retention and water retention is very challenging, but why would someone want to grow a vineyard on the side of a mountain? Well, the beautiful thing about mountain fruit is it's at altitude, so you get the beautiful sun in the day that allows the grapes to ripen adequately, but then at night, it's cooler. Up at elevation, it gets cooler, which shuts down the ripening process and allows these wines to keep their amazing, beautiful acidity. So that's really how you create a world-class wine with elegant structure. A lot of times is that these wines, the fruit for the wines is grown at altitude. So again, and this is a beautiful one. The 2013 Mount Brave, Mount Veeder Cab is a blend of 82% Cabernet Sauvignon, 7% Merlot, 6.5% Malbec, and 4.5% Cabernet Franc, aged for 19 months in French oak, 80% new. So notice there is not a white wine emoji. I did notice that, Oscar. I think they do need a white wine, and they need a rosé too. Maybe more importantly, they need a rosé emoji. But anyway, I'll get on that letter right away. And the Mount Brave Vineyard, where the grapes are harvested, is very historic. It's located high atop Mount Veeder in western Napa Valley. It's been planted to wine grapes since the 1860s by such historic figures as Charles Krug, Frederick Hess, and William Keyes. So let's go ahead and taste through this gorgeous wine. So if you see right ahead, you look at that wine, there's no way you're reading through that wine. And that's how you tell it's made from thick-skinned grapes. Again, it's beautiful. It's like a purplish garnet. It does have that kind of garnet around the rim, but a purple core, I would say. And there's nothing floating in it. I've already tried it, and I'm gonna go ahead and let's swirl and sniff first. And again, the wine, it's very fragrant. I can smell it kind of from here, but it's just beautiful, beautiful aromas of dark fruit and cassis and spice. And I mean, you just pretty much want to dive in the glass, but let's go ahead and taste. And again, that's heaven, folks. That is just ripe blackberries and plums. You get a little graphite, beautiful graphite and spice from the French oak. Whenever you taste notes of baking spices like clove or nutmeg or cinnamon in a wine, that's from the oak. The French oak imparts those notes into the wine. But again, beautifully balanced, chewy, the tannins are there. But again, you could drink this wine now, but you could also age it easily for 10 to 15 years and it would still be beautiful if you like aged wines. As wines age, they lose some of their fruit. So if you like that style of wine, hang on to it for a few years or buy a case and see, have one each year and see how the wine evolves. So anyway, it's a beautiful wine. Again, that finish goes on forever. I immediately want to pair this with a nice juicy bone-in ribeye. That would be perfect with that. Oh, it's just gorgeous. Again, he makes beautiful wines. Tom asks, Oscar says yum. Yes, I agree with you. That's funny you notice because I think that all the time about the emoji. I'm like, they really need a white wine emoji. What is your favorite wine spot here in Florida? Restaurants, I would say, we have a few. I love the Grove here in Delray Beach. I'll just stick with our little town of Delray Beach here. The Grove has an amazing wine list, and so does Cut 432. They have a really well-priced and very adventurous wine list. They want you to try new wines when you go there, and they really make it accessible, and they have a really great selection too. Those would probably be my top favorite, and of course 32 East. That's a standard. They have a wonderful, well-curated wine list there. Those are probably my top three, I would say right now. But yeah, definitely spots to check out if you're a wine lover for sure. Okay, so Let's see. Yep, still amazing. Awesome. So those essentially, folks, are my wine gems, my California gems for the week. We so enjoyed meeting with all the folks at these wineries. They're doing an amazing job. Again, if you have the chance to go out, I highly recommend visiting any of them, or visiting, and I get a lot of questions about, I'm going to this region, where do you recommend I visit? My first recommendation would be go visit somewhere that you enjoy their wines. So if you're going to California and you enjoy a specific winery, that should be your first appointment, because you already love the wine. And why wouldn't you want to see where it's from and, meet the people who make it? And that would make it a more special experience. But of course, it's always fun to, put a couple new places on your list too. And I understand that. But any of these would be a wonderful choice for sure. Like to purchase wine? Let's see. Oh no. Oscar asked Florida Total Wine. Yeah, that's a great place. They've got a lot there for sure. So are there any questions about any of these wines or anything we've talked about today? Please ask. And again, whether you're watching this live or you're watching it after the fact, please go ahead and ask questions. I will respond to you. I promise to get back to you on any questions you might have. And remember, I'm here every Friday at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, talking about, food and wine fun. And I will be announcing the topic for next week a little throughout, probably by Sunday. I'll post that for sure, because I have a couple ideas, but I haven't nailed it down yet. But so if there, let's see, we do have a question. Tom Dank says, how about Sons and Daughters Winery and Farm in Lake Worth? I've actually heard a lot about them, and I haven't been there yet. I know that they make a hibiscus wine that I haven't tried yet. That sounds pretty interesting, but I've heard good things. Have you been there, Tom? Have you been there yet? If you have, let me know what you think. But I definitely like to get out there and see what they're all about. Swank Farms has some amazing events during the season as well. We're lucky in that respect that we have some awesome farms, not too far away that we can go visit, and a lot of local restaurants feature their beautiful produce. Oh, awesome. I love all the emojis, guys. You're making my day. Love it. Not yet. Okay. Well, if you go first, you let me know. And if I go soon, I'll let you know what I think. But there aren't any more questions. I guess I'll let you all go and get to your weekends and start enjoying. Let's see. First and foremost, thank you so much for coming. This was so much fun, and I appreciate you joining me for the live broadcast. It means a lot. And again, it's so fun to keep it interactive with you guys. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And your homework, if you choose to accept it, is to try a wine that's, try a different wine. Try a grape variety you've never tried before this weekend. When you hit the wine store on the way home, ask for Rebola Jolla, ask for a Rosato. Try something off the beaten path, and then once you try it, I want you to come back here on my page and let me know what you thought. And if you didn't like it, that's fine. But I think you define, when you're getting to know wine, you define your palate as much by what you don't like as what you do. So it's fun to experiment and always keep that sense of adventure. I do, even at in my stage of the game, but I think that's so fun to always try new things, because sometimes it just reinforces, hey, I like what I like, or you might get to know a new favorite, which is always fun. So thank you so much, and I will be posting this immediately afterwards if there's anything you need to refer to. And please, spread the word, tell your friends about it, have them join us next week, tag anyone if you think they'd be interested. And I think that's about it. Thank you for all your kind words. I appreciate it. Let's see. Oscar says, would you consider letting us make suggestions? Yes. If you have suggestions for a future broadcast, great question. Just leave me a comment there. I'd be happy to do something that you all suggest. So please suggest away. I would love that. Good idea. Awesome. And if there aren't any more questions, cheers and have a wonderful weekend. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Cheers.